in action, and we have some really intriguing conference openers across college football. Let's start in the horseshoe, okay? How lucky are Ohio State Buckeyes fans, first of all? It's not even the end of September. This is their third home night game since the start of the season, fourth home game overall. Open with Notre Dame, played Akron last week, Arkansas State. I'm thinking of Akron because they played Tennessee, who we'll talk about in a minute. Played Arkansas State, Toledo last weekend at night, and I think you saw the final score of that one. And now they host Wisconsin in the Betfred Sportsbook. Ohio State is up to an 18-point favorite, 18 and a half, as a matter of fact. The over-under is set for 57 in this game. And I think what's interesting with Ohio State, this is what we love about college football, the ebbs and flows of a season. We saw them a few weeks ago against Notre Dame. Struggled to move the ball. What was going on? Are they not that good? Was it Jackson Smith and Jigba's injury? Then they get Arkansas State, put up 45 points. Then they put up 77 points against Toledo last week. It was one of the great offensive performances that we've seen in college football in a long time. Second most total yards in the history of Ohio State football came last week against Toledo. And so when I look at this Ohio State team, one, the offense is obviously humming. And what I really do like about this Ohio State offense specifically is that they are running the ball very effectively, which I think is important. Now, TreVeyon Henderson left last week's game. He is expected to play this week. But just in general, one of my criticisms of Ryan Day is I do think at times he gets too cute and too reliant on all of the interesting and plays that he draws up. And we know he's an offensive genius, okay? You don't always need to show it off. Sometimes you just got to run the ball right at the other team. And that is exactly what he's been doing, 207 yards per game rushing on the ground this week. But what I would also say about this Ohio State-Wisconsin game, what is intriguing to me, this very much could be the best defense that Ohio State plays all year. Now, we'll find out in the coming weeks because they still have Penn State, who looked really good defensively last week at Auburn. They still have Michigan. There's a lot of season left. But remember with the Wisconsin Badgers, okay? Remember last year, that historic Georgia defense that we all love so much, 5 first-round NFL draft picks. Never forget, it was actually Wisconsin that led college football in total defense, fewest yards allowed. And that tells you what Jim Leonhard is doing. Jim Leonhard is their defensive coordinator. He is a candidate for the Nebraska job. And if he wants to be a head coach, he will get a gig really soon because he is that good defensively. And so I'm just really intrigued by how this defense handles all of that talent at Ohio State. Right now, Wisconsin, they're not quite as good as they were last year defensively, but top 20 in every major category. Number 11 in total defense, number 8 in scoring defense, number 13 in rush defense, number 19 in pass defense. Remember, last year that team was really talented. They fell early because the offense couldn't score. Well, fast forward, the defense was elite last year, and they look very much to be the same this year. And again, I don't claim to be the X's and O's savant, and they're going to do, too high safety here, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how they plan on slowing down Jackson Smith and Jigba and that Ohio State offense. But I do believe that if anyone is equipped to do it, Wisconsin is. I know that historically these teams, they haven't played in a while, but in the 2019 Big Ten championship game, they did slow down Justin Fields and Ohio State. So it's not to say that they're going to slow down and stop Ohio State, but had success a few years back. It's obviously a completely different team. No Justin Fields, but CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Julian Fleming with 2 touchdown catches for Ohio State last week. So this Ohio State offense is rolling, and we're going to see them against a really elite defense. Now, on the other side of the ball, I think it's just as intriguing because last year with Wisconsin, when they struggled early, what was the problem? We know what it was. It was the offense. It was the ability to pass the ball, specifically with Graham Mertz. Well, Graham Mertz, I wouldn't say has been elite this year, but he has been a lot better. 71% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You compare that to last year, where on the season, this was a guy that completed somewhere in the neighborhood of 59% of his passes. So Graham Mertz has come a long way. But again, in the biggest game of the year against Washington State, in which they lost, 58% completion, 18 of 31, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And so again, has Wisconsin played anybody noteworthy in 3 games? New Mexico State, Washington State, Illinois State. The one Power 5 team that they played, Washington State, they could not move the ball. They struggled. Graham Mertz struggled, and I'll be curious to see how they do against this Ohio State defense. Listen, I could break down the stats with you on Ohio State. I do think over the next couple weeks, though, we're going to learn a lot more about them. Now, to their credit, under Jim Knowles, the new defensive coordinator who came from Oklahoma State, they've been really good. Number 21 in total defense in college football. And in terms of points allowed, I mean, they're really doing an excellent job allowing about 14 points per game, which is in the top 25 in all of college football. But what I would also say is I think we're going to learn a little bit about them this week, and we're certainly going to learn about them in time. That Notre Dame game where they were dominant on that opening Saturday of college football, week 1, were they that great? Or as it turns out, is Notre Dame's offense just that putrid? So I think we're going to learn a lot about Ohio State. But I do think what I will say in terms of the Betfred Sportsbook, I don't push my picks on you, but when I have them, I will share them. I actually do like in this game, more than trying to take Ohio State, minus the points or Wisconsin plus the points. I do think the over-under of 57 is very interesting. I think this is the best defense that Ohio State will face all year. I think Wisconsin will struggle to move the ball. My official Betfred pick is Ohio State, Wisconsin under 57. Don't try to push picks on you, but I do like it there. This is the best defense that Ohio State will play for some time. And I know they scored 77 last week. I do think this is going to be a little bit more low scoring. I think Wisconsin in that crazy night environment at the shoe is going to struggle to move the ball. Give me the under. If I did have to make a pick, all my picks, by the way, at AaronTorresOnline.com.